right now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Feel free to post in the chat where you're coming from and any strategies you're currently doing. So, hello everyone. Once again, I'm Isaac. Thank you so much for attending the Medtronic Wellness Team's Self-Care and Stress Management webinar. In today's fast-paced world, stress has become a common companion in our daily lives, affecting our well-being and in productivity. We understand the importance of maintaining a healthy work-life balance and cultivating resilience in the face of life's challenges. At this webinar, we'll discuss what stress is and factors that affect it, what is good stress, what is bad stress, and then we'll dive into an interactive self-care activity, creating your own wellness wheel, highlighting the 8 pillars of wellness. A few things before we get into today's topic. This webinar will be recorded and emailed to everyone in attendance. If you need to leave the webinar early or want to revisit the content, the recording will be uploaded to our Viva Engage community and to our YouTube channel. The slide deck will also be available to you as well. When it comes to our webinars, our goal is to engage and interact with you as much as we can throughout the course of the presentation. Please utilize the chat and add comments or ask any questions, and we'll respond throughout. And if we don't get to your question, we will contact you individually. Thanks again for coming. I'm going to give the mic over to Kyle.
Very good.
Wanted to make sure it was you.
Thank you. Yes. So in the past, we have talked about stress and stress management, self-care before. So if you want to hear or see some of that information from the past that might go into a little bit more detail, I highly encourage you checking out our YouTube channel and looking for some of those previously recorded stress management webinars that we have done, just to go into a little bit more details and depth. Because we've done some stuff in the past, I'm going to kind of breeze over this a little bit in regard to what is stress. So that way we have plenty of time to do our interactive component for today with Carolyn and Kelly. So what is stress? So stress is a normal psychological and physical reaction to the demands of life. As your mind perceives threats or even excitement, your adrenal glands make and release the hormone cortisol that is released into your bloodstream. This is often called the stress hormone, and cortisol causes an increase in your heart rate, blood pressure, and it's your natural fight or flight response that has kept humans alive for thousands of years. So, we experience stress in 2 different ways. The good stress that we don't really talk about too often, but good stress, which psychologists sometimes call eustress. There's also bad stress or distress, which can be either acute or chronic. Both good and bad stressors trigger your body's stress response by increasing your cortisol levels, but if you think about it, the key difference between the two, good versus bad, is whether there is a perceived threat, maybe a sense of fear, or even a repeated stressor that you endure that takes a heavy toll on yourself. Normal levels of cortisol are released when you wake up in the morning or even through exercise. These normal levels can help you be more alert, regulate your blood pressure, maybe feel excited, or even help you achieve that personal best in the gym. Maybe it's a really heavy deadlift that you've never done before. However, do recognize that good stress can become bad for you if you experience too much of it too often. Like heavy lifting day in and day out can actually cause overtraining. Remember that your body's stress response is triggered for both good stress and bad stress. And if you are adding that to chronic stress or several other stressors, there is a cumulative effect. It can gradually take its toll on the body and have more drastic impacts on your overall quality of life, even life-threatening effects. It is important to realize that stress is a lifestyle factor and a fact of life that we all face. How we react to it will either help us or hurt us. So here are just some different ways that distress, the bad stress, versus the good stress, eustress, might affect you, more so kind of symptom related. So with acute stress, we're talking anxiety, irritability, mood swings, maybe lack of focus, even what psychologists might consider as kind of personal harm, if you will, simply nail biting. Chronic stress can take the symptoms or forms of some of the same symptoms as acute, but some kind of deeper, more impactful feelings like feeling of helplessness, even to frequently being ill or sick, or having a hard time recovering from a mild illness, anxiety, nausea, high blood pressure, hypertension, some of those kind of more major health factors. But as you see on the right, the good stress, again, eustress, that good stress can help increase your energy, maybe motivate you, increase your productivity, even provide maybe a positive outlook. And then examples of some of those stressors. So trying to be a little bit more detailed in what those look like. And so you might be going through stress right now. Maybe it's deadlines, a death of a loved one, maybe, again, an illness or an injury. Those are all stressors, some that can be short term, like the acute stress, or some that can be more long term and have lasting effects, like the chronic. But again, wanting to highlight the good stress a little bit more this time with today's webinar, but things like exercising, socializing, building a relationship. One that I do recognize that I've heard from other Medtronic employees in a previous webinar, vacationing. Vacationing can be a stress in a good way as well. But those are just some of those related stressors and examples of both good and bad. So when it comes to the effect of stress in our lives, health issues related to chronic stress can be more life-threatening, but poor stress management practices may allow acute stress to also influence our well-being. So things like weight gain, weight loss, substance abuse, and that kind of stuff. So getting help from your doctor or a therapist, or even connecting with your employee assistance program is very important in improving your overall stress, especially when it's significantly impacting you. Also, even right now, recognizing making personal lifestyle changes can be an incredible relief in your day-to-day. So I want to move on into this interactive piece that we have for you. So I'm going to hand it over to Carolyn.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Great info, getting us started on what stress is and talking about the good stress too. We a lot of times forget about that piece, right? We always think stress is such a bad thing in our lives, but it can be good as well. And we know that it's a constant, right? We're always going to have stress in our lives. That's just a constant, and it's always going to be there. And there are many stressors, like Kyle said, that could impact us in that good way, like energy, productivity, motivation. But there are times too when we might feel bogged down or our well-being is affected, like Kyle said, and we need a change. So in order to hit that reset button, we first have to figure out, where are we right now, right? And what are we trying to accomplish, and what tweaks are we willing to make so we can feel more satisfied with our life? So a simple way to do that is through an exercise called the wellness wheel. So on this page here, you can see the 8 pillars of wellness that make up the wellness wheel. So I have added the link on this slide, and I also put it in the chat. So you can download the worksheet, to complete your very own wellness wheel at your convenience. Or if you want to download it now, feel free to do that as well and follow along, whatever works best for you. But this is what the wellness wheel looks like. So let's talk a little bit about how it works. So you can see the wellness wheel has 8 sections. So each section in the wheel represents your life. So what you'll do is you'll rank your level of satisfaction with each area on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 means you're struggling and you feel really unfulfilled in that particular area. 10 means you're satisfied with that area and don't think it needs much or any improvement. So you'll just, go with your gut. Don't overthink it. Just go with your gut. Place a dot. What you'll do is you'll place a dot on the number that matches your ranking for each category. And if you go ahead and download that sheet at your own convenience, you'll see that you can get the fillable document and then just go ahead and put your dots on there. And we'll show you one coming up later in the webinar too, one that's done and how it looks. You can also print it off if you'd like and then color it in and then see like that way that kind of helps you see like, oh, wow, I have like blue only up to like halfway up in this area, but the green is all the way over here. Or you can connect the dots together and see, do I have a circle or is it really like going in and out and it's not quite as balanced as I'd like it to be, right? So once you're done, obviously with your wellness wheel, you should see the areas that need improvement and which areas that you feel satisfied with already. So all of the dimensions, all 8 sections of that wellness wheel are interconnected and important. And they help you create a well-rounded and balanced lifestyle. So we're going to take a moment here to do a quick overview of each of the wellness pillars. So the first pillar is physical health. So physical health or wellness involves eating a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, doing enough regular physical activity, preventing and managing illness and health conditions. So things to think about is, are you getting regular exercise? Are you seeing your doctor regularly? Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating healthy food? Do you feel comfortable with your body? Do you keep your blood pressure at the optimal level? Do you work on developing healthy habits? So those are questions you can ask yourself when you're thinking about that particular pillar. Mental health or emotional wellness, as it is called as well. That involves being able to cope effectively with the difficulties of life. So people with healthy emotional wellness are confident, they have control over their feelings and behavior, and they have good coping mechanisms for dealing with difficult situations. So building resiliency really allows us to overcome those hurdles of our life. So things here to ask yourself are you seeking support when needed? Are you aware of your feelings and emotions? Are you focusing on your strengths? Do you express your feelings and emotions with other people, not keeping it bottled in? And do you have a positive self-image? Relationships or social wellness. These involve having a strong support network, feeling connected to other people, and really having a sense of belonging. When we feel isolated, lonely, disconnected from others, that can lead to a negative physical and any mental health outcomes. So healthy relationships that we make with family and friends are essential to our well-being. So are you interacting with a diverse group of people? Are you drawing boundaries for yourself within relationships? Do you take part in a social group and do you have a strong support network or system? Recreation. Recreation is really about exercising the mind and exercising the body, learning new things, having hobbies, recharging, and really just having fun with life. So are you using your creative abilities? Are you a lifelong learner? Are you recharging your batteries? Are you having fun? Do you explore new hiking areas or look for new books or find new events? Do you challenge yourself in that area? Financial wellness. This refers to being financially literate, in charge of your finances and responsible with your money. So struggling with finances and having an unsettled financial situation is a problem that can cause a lot of stress to you and to your family. So staying on top of your finances is important for improving your everyday life. So are you maintaining a budget? Are you monitoring your spending? Are you exploring ways to save money? And maybe you want to save money for a special trip or vacation, like Kyle was mentioning coming up, right? Do you pay your bills on time? Do you seek professional financial help when needed? Career or occupational wellness. This involves having a fulfilling and enriching occupation, whether that be professional work or academic work or a combination of both. So common cause of stress for many Americans is their jobs and the demands that come with it. So having a work-life balance is extremely important to your overall health and wellness. So the first step to achieving this is having a job that you enjoy and you're passionate about it. And it's important to have a positive work environment and be surrounded by people who support you and your goals. So are you developing good work habits? Are you setting career goals? Do you take personal satisfaction in your career? Do you have a good balance of work and leisure? Spirituality. Spiritual wellness is about having a sense of purpose and meaning in life that revolves around your personal beliefs and values. So spiritual health can involve a connection with nature, self-reflection, meditation, prayer, and more. So being spiritually healthy means you have strong values, a feeling of inner peace, and a meaning in life. So making time for activities that enhance your sense of connection to yourself, to nature, and to others is important. So are you discovering your values, principles, and beliefs? Are you accepting others for who they are and what their values are? Do you have a healthy relationship with nature? Do you have a greater purpose? And do you take time for yourself and embrace solitude? And last but not least, we have home or environmental wellness. And this refers to being in a nurturing and healthy home, as well as having awareness and respect for the environment around us. So the environment around you can greatly impact how you feel. So having a positive environment, as well as doing your part to take care of the earth, will help you to feel overall more fulfilled. So are you making sure your home is decluttered? Spending time outdoors? Are you recycling? Do you have a peaceful home environment? Do you involve yourself in the community? These are questions you can ask yourself for this category. So those are the 8 pillars of wellness that we're going to talk about even further as we explore more into the wellness wheel. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly now to talk more about that, what the results mean, and how we can take action steps to improve on certain areas.
Thanks so much, Carolyn, for showing us the broadness yet wholeness of the wellness wheel contributors to our overall well-being. Now that we've assessed how balanced or perhaps unbalanced we feel, let's discuss tools to improve. This next slide is an example of an unnamed Healthier Together colleague. And as you see here, the dots are rarely will have a perfectly round wheel when you're connecting them. And where you are today does not necessarily mean where you were in the past or where you will be in the future. And the purpose of the slide is not to compare or judge yourself against others, but just to give yourself a visual idea of where you could benefit from more balance. To do so, I encourage you to ask yourself the following questions, giving credit to Carolyn for this next slide as she was going to go through it, but I stole it from her. And the questions are: 1, what score did you give yourself in each area? 2, what areas do you want to focus on improving right now? Think of your readiness to change model. I have one small step really does add up. So really focusing on one area at a time rather than trying to overwhelm and be perfect. 3, when you envision fulfillment in these areas, what do you picture? So this is going to be a unique picture just for yourself, but there's really such power in visualization and knowing, like how do you know when you get to that point of fulfillment? So having that picture really helps set you up for success. Then 4, what types of activities and practices would help you feel more fulfilled in that specific area? And lastly, what actions can you take in the next 3 to 6 months to improve these areas? Great to have an action plan, feel like you're in control and can take that over. So to brainstorm and learn from one another, I will be asking my colleagues to share a few things. Don't cringe. They were aware that I was going to be asking them these questions. However, I don't know what their answers are going to be. So we're going to start off with Kyle. Kyle, if you don't mind sharing, what is one area that you felt really strong in? And then you can go into an area that you really would like to improve currently.
Sure, yeah. I mean, when I was doing the wheel myself, I feel like I placed myself in pretty high categories for majority of them. But one that like really, I think, hit home was the recreation bucket, if you will, where I scored myself pretty high with that one. The one that I always laugh at this because I feel like some people might find this surprising, but the physical side of things, that was my lowest.
Right. And what about the actions that you can take in the next 3 to 6 months now for yourself? What action items have you decided to do?
Right. Yeah. So some of the action items for myself regarding this physical bucket, and it's more so with my own personal daily or weekly exercise schedule. The first step for me that I've started to do is identifying my schedule, whether it's day to day, week to week, and month to month as well. So I have that snapshot, that outlook of what time do I have available, both not only at work but also at home as well. I have a 1-year-old that occupies a lot of my time now. And so for me, understanding my schedule and then deciding, planning, and scheduling when I'm going to find time to exercise. And granted, I have the opportunity to do it here on site at work. So that's something that I'm going to try to take advantage of. And then the next step is then creating my workout plan. What am I going to do on those days? Am I going to strength train? Am I going to, do some cardio? Am I going to do a mix of both, depending on my goals and kind of my desires with the exercise outcome?
Thanks so much for sharing. I think it's so interesting that you picked physical. Like you said, I think people wouldn't have expected that, us in this profession, but it really just shows like our balance can go up and down throughout, and it doesn't really matter what you do for a living, where you're at, it's going to fluctuate, and there's areas for better improvement. So that was interesting. Thanks. All right, Isaac, you are in the hot seat. Again, if you want to share one of the strong areas, starting out positive, and then an area that you would like to focus on improving right now.
Yeah, well, first off, my wheel is definitely a little wonky, but it'll get to where it needs to go, but it's going to be kind of a bumpy ride at this point. No, Kyle, a little bit of the opposite of you. I feel pretty good about the physical. That was one of my highest categories, as well as mental and home. So that side of the wheel was looking really, really good. Felt really good about that. As far as like that physical, I think the physical kind of leads into the mental for me. A lot of times I kind of go by the idea that and it can be overdone, right? But like if I physically exhaust my body, my mind can become a lot more clear in those moments. As far as areas of improvement, like I said, Kyle, the opposite of you, my recreation was pretty low because of I have a 2.5-year-old. My spouse is currently in graduate school, so we are kind of doing what we have to do right now. So just working on that aspect of my overall wellness. And as far as plans to make that better, or things that I like to do to help improve that recreational aspect, is really just scheduling the time throughout our family schedule to be like, okay, this is going to be my time to read for an hour, or my time to go outside, to go to the sauna maybe, or whatever, to really schedule that time for myself, or to go see friends, because relationships I've noticed has gone down a little bit due to the fact that my recreational time has decreased. So really scheduling time to be with a friend weeks, maybe a couple weeks in advance, or for some of my friends that are, elsewhere, scheduling a call to meet with them.
Yeah, I like that. And I think
Yeah.
there's that common theme between you two of like scheduling, having a plan, and like just like anything with a meeting, like scheduling. And then also it was interesting too, putting like physical and mental, like with this wheel, it is so integrated. And then also the area and time in life with little children, that's going to fluctuate your wheel as well. So life moments and events definitely affect this. So I'm learning so much about my staff, my colleagues. This is interesting. All right. And Carolyn, over to you.
Right.
What's one of your strong areas, and kind of the same thing, something you want to improve upon, and what you plan to do?
Yeah, so I'm on a different path than both of the guys. So I don't have any kids at home. So for me, time management isn't as much of an issue as it is for them. So I feel like I have a little dips in my wellness wheel, but it's not like completely wonky. So I'd say, like, the physical, the mental, the recreation, I feel pretty good about where I'm at with those things for the most part, just because I have the time to be able to do those things more so than other people who have, kids at home or other things. I'm on the other end though, also, that I am taking care of my parents. So, so I have the opposite end of that, but it's not on a daily basis, like with Isaac and Kyle. So I would say physical is really strong right now. And I say right now because, go back and do this wellness wheel, often, because it will change as you have different circumstances and different situations. And then also I feel that my career is really a high bucket and a high rating right now. I really love what I'm doing, and love this team right here. So I really feel fortunate and fulfilled in what I'm doing. So that's a really high one for me. On the opposite end, I would say right now, finances and spirituality were on the lowest for me. Finances, because I just feel like I need to learn more about like investing, those types of things. It's not really in my wheelhouse. I'm good with paying my bills on time. I'm good with saving money and things like that. But just that investment piece, I just want to know more. I just feel that would be helpful. So that's kind of why I gave myself a little bit lower rating on the financial piece. So as far as action steps in that, and I'm starting just to kind of learn, just kind of read a little bit more about things. And yes, that is my wellness wheel. So I'm just starting to, learn more about things with investing, and just, talk to my husband more. He's really good with that kind of thing. So just getting more involved. That's going to be my biggest action step, is just getting more involved and really paying attention to those types of things. And then the other one that I really want to focus on, like I said, is spirituality. I used to do a lot of journaling and a lot of writing, and I loved it. And for some reason I got away from it. So that's gonna be my action step, because I really find that when I'm journaling or just writing, that I really learn about myself, my values, my beliefs. And also it just creates this like inner peace for myself. And it's just a great way to reduce and manage stress. You can write about good things and as well as other things that you just, want to throw down on paper. So that's something that I'm going to get back into, in these next 3 to 6 months. Get some action steps going.
Excellent, thanks. Yeah, I'm in the same way with the finances. That was one of the lower ones for me. But I feel balanced, and I don't feel stress over it because my husband stresses enough about it that I was like, oh, he has it covered. I don't have to worry about it. But I do want to, I know for me, it's just stopping the online shopping of like going on and just like for fun as recreation. That's one of my recreations I like because I don't like shopping in person. So it's like just kind of browsing through and then all of a sudden you finding things you didn't realize you needed. So kind of more sticking to a list and going through is something that I'm going to be working upon. So, well, thank you, team, for sharing. And we hope everyone during this discussion that this really just encourages you to create some helpful action steps in achieving more balance in whatever area you're at. And the aim is not to eliminate every stressor, but to develop a healthier attitude and response towards stress. So we all know stress is unavoidable, but you can control your mindset towards stress. And so this slide shows some dim statistics at first glance. There is very encouraging data from various studies that I'll touch upon. So the first study on this slide highlights that when you change your mind about stress, you can change your body's response to stress. So there was a study that tracked 30,000 adults in the United States for 8 years. And they started by asking people the question, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, do you believe that stress is harmful for your health? And then to figure out the results, they used public death records to find out who died. Then people who expressed a lot of stress in the previous year had 43% increased risk of dying. So that seems really dim and sad and horrible. But the underpart of that statistic is that was only true for people who also believed that stress is harmful for their health. So people who experience a lot of stress but did not view stress as harmful were no more likely to die. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying of anyone in the study, including people who had relatively little stress. So this is reinforced with another study that was conducted at Harvard University, where participants were told to view stress as signs that your body was energized and preparing to meet a challenge. So before they went through the social stress test, they were taught to rethink their stress response as helpful. So that pounding heart is preparing you for action. If you're breathing faster, it's not an issue. It's getting more oxygen to your brain. And then participants who learned to view the stress response as helpful for their performance, well, they were less stressed out, less anxious, more confident. And then the most fascinating finding was how their physical stress response changed. So now in a typical stress response, your heart rate goes up and your blood vessels constrict, which is one of the reasons that chronic stress is sometimes associated with cardiovascular disease. But in the study, when participants viewed their stress response as helpful, their blood vessels stayed relaxed. So their heart was still pounding, but this is a much healthier cardiovascular profile. It's like a workout. Over a lifetime of stressful experiences, this one biological change of relaxing, keeping those blood vessels dilated, could be the difference between a stress-induced heart attack, let's say at the age of 50, or living well into your 90s. And this is really what the new science of stress reveals, is that how you think about stress really does matter. The next statistic on this slide is from a study that tracked about 1,000 adults in the US, ranging from ages 34 to 93. And again, they started the study by asking, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? But then they asked, how much time have you spent helping out friends, neighbors, or people in your community? Once again, they used public health records for the next 5 years to find out who had died. So bad news first, every major stressful life experience, like such as financial difficulty or a family crisis, that increased the risk of dying by 30%. Once again, there's an exception, or the but. That was not true for everyone. People who spent time caring for others showed absolutely no stress-related increase in dying, like zero. There was no increase. So caring really had created resilience. Then lastly, there is the power of taking control and attempting, like just trying to reduce your stress. Doesn't matter if you consider yourself successful or not, but just that attempt in trying to reduce your stress. So adults who did not attempt to reduce stress in the last 12 months were more than 2 times more likely to report being in poor health than those who were proactive. So with all of this, I hope you feel more empowered, knowing that the harmful effects of stress on your health are not inevitable. How you think and how you act can transform your experience of stress. When you choose to view your stress response as helpful, you really create that biology of courage. When you choose to connect with others under stress, you can even create resilience. So it's a big win-win. Before we get to our final takeaways, no wellness webinar would ever be complete without highlighting some fun and interesting upcoming events. So there's a lot to look forward to in November, specifically my birthday, but I will focus on the 3 webinars. All right, this first one I am so excited for. It's the Party Smart Healthy Holiday Snack Board webinar, and that's going to be hosted by the Cafe Bon Appetit. And I'm really excited because it's going to be interactive with the options of participating on Zoom or in person if you are in or near the OHQ office. While the in-person is limited to 15 people, I really am looking forward to the energy of streaming this live with actual people in person. So it should be fun. Like, how could it not with the word party in the title? So that one, just really excited about. Then Rethink Care is hosting an interesting webinar on November 16th about creating healthy habits for teens. I myself, as a parent of teenagers, I'm really open to any and all strategies for assisting my teens through all of life's challenges. Then lastly, the Valuable MEEP Resource Group is hosting a Getting Organized webinar on November 21st. So it's a really good time to reorganize before the busyness of the holidays and as more people are transitioning with dual workspaces at home and in office. So as with all of these webinars, you will receive the slide deck and recordings if you register, even if you were not able to attend it live. So if you're interested in any of these, please register so you can get the resources and information. Now there's one more program I want to highlight, as our colleagues Jill Factor in Lafayette and Jimmy Kemp in Memphis have been preparing and are excited to host. And that's the Essentials of Wellness. So backed by popular demand, it is an 8-week virtual program. It begins on October 23rd. New hosts this year, as I mentioned, with Jill and Jimmy. And each week they will dive into a new topic that is essential and actionable to your well-being. And you can either go through the slides when you get this to join, or you can go onto our Twin Cities SharePoint site, along with all the live virtual offerings. So as you see, there is a wide variety of opportunities on our weekly live offerings. There's the positive posture breaks, Nia dance, which is really fun and energetic with Jill. Fit breaks, which is one of my favorites, just really get re-energized during the workday. And there's so many more that we need 2 slides to show them all. We will be adding a chair yoga every other Wednesday starting November 1st. So save these links to stay updated. And this brings us to the closing of our session. So on behalf of our entire Healthier Together wellness team, we truly thank you for taking time out of your day to focus on self-care with us. If you are comfortable utilizing the chat, please share one action item you will attempt to incorporate to reduce stress or deal with it better. Feel free just to add on the chat if you're comfortable. And I saw earlier on Lynn from New Haven, she was saying like she does Reiki for wellness. And I've never done that, but so interested in that. So that's might be something I'm gonna try. I always like trying something new, and that's something I'll definitely try. Positive attitude. All right, Kyle. Yes. Oh, nice. Marta's gonna start swimming. That's always a great workout. Full body, and then also so nice on the joints. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, and changing your attitude to stress versus to change your reaction as well. Pay more attention to deficient categories. Nice. Yes. Thanks, Ryan, for sharing that and participating. Yeah, ideas. That wellness wheel, it's nice to get that visual with the wellness wheel. It's so easy to kind of think about overall how you're doing, but when you see it, then you're like, gives you a little bit more focus. So I really think that was a wonderful tool. So thank you, Carolyn, for sharing that one. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we hope to see you at the Party Smart board on November 7th. Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
See you at the party.
Hi, thank you.